This is the theme of setback and misery. Annie pulls Paul out of setback. Select frames. So at the mention of Tombstone, we are cut back to when he is in the snow, right? When his car crashed and is now in the snow. He's bloody, hardly, hardly conscious. We get a different view of him sort of almost passing out, and we know that he's going to fully pass out because when Annie comes to rescue him, she's going to have to administer CPR. And so Annie is using sort of like, I guess, one of those, things to open the car. I don't know what it's called. And so she's pulling him out of the car. It's interesting that she's pulling him out of his setback. The Annie is just, he says it at the end that that whole experience helped him. And we don't get the author, the writer of the script doesn't give him lines enough to tell us how much it helped him. That would have been very helpful to know how much of that experience helped him. And the agent at the end is asking him if he would be interested in writing a nonfiction book. And he says, you're asking me to relive the most painful, time of my life, etc., or whatever. And then he turns around and says how much it helped him. But she's pulling him out of a setback. And don't forget that this setback that he's in is based upon his initial desire to write something more serious. So when she pulls him, and then he hits a setback, right, in the crashing of the car. So when she pulls him out of the setback, she's pulling him out of the setback based upon an initial goal. Not necessarily, well, to him, it would be the initial goal. She's pulling him out of setback based upon the goal that she has for him to continue writing great books. So she wants the misery. He wants the non-misery, right? He wants to do more serious work. So it's funny, when you are helping somebody, you don't always know the real reason why you're helping them. You can have your reasons for helping him, because she's going to want to be rewarded for helping him, pulling him out of this car. And the reward for her is to have him to keep writing the misery books. He's going to buck against that reward in a sense, right? Because he wants to do what it is that he wants to do, which is the serious work. So again, you pulling somebody out of their setback has so many different types of implications. And so we see this angle, how she's pulling him out. He's holding on to that leather briefcase. So even if he is unconscious, he's conscious enough, or it's implicit whether he's conscious enough to hold on to something that he wants to protect. So then you have to think to yourself, it's not so much just that he wants to protect the manuscript, that he wants to protect his heart. He wants to protect his soul. He wants to protect his peace. He doesn't feel like he's at peace writing the misery series. In fact, he feels like he is really miserable, right? So that means it really wasn't about the money. Even if he might have been motivated initially when he was just coming out and trying to be a novelist and write and things like that, that he might have been motivated by money. You can tell now that it's not about money, that it wasn't about money, that he just made a decision based upon a financial immediate issue, that he cares about the peace that he gets when he writes. When he's standing after smoking that cigarette and drinking that wine, and when he's standing there, you see his face. I mean, you see his head kind of come back into like a resting position, like an exhale came out, and now he can breathe again. And so maybe the first book was not the misery novel, and it was another book, and he was trying to shop it, and it wasn't received. And so then he got into the misery writing business. I remember J.K. Rowling saying that she had other books prior to the Harry Potter series, And so maybe those books did not make good, and it was the Harry Potter series that actually made an impact. And so Annie is about to administer CPR, so that lets you know that the person holding his head and holding his neck and about to squeeze his nose is a person knowledgeable about how to resuscitate, right? Remember that Annie is pushing for him to return to the misery writing business. So she's a nurse, and it's almost like she's trying to resuscitate his career. Even though he isn't at the end of his career, he just wrote the last book hoping that it would end his career. But the fact that he lets misery die indicates to Annie that he is letting the whole series die, which further implies that her misery is dying. See, misery makes her happy. And so it is the only thing that has brought happiness to her when she was working a night shift as a nurse, and after her husband left her, and it was his book that kind of brought her happiness. And so her resuscitating him is resuscitating him to continue writing more books. So she administers CPR using her hands as tools, of course, and then he is able to be resuscitated. So that means her dreams of continuing, of Paul Sheldon writing more books, are also resuscitated, because if he dies, her dreams of misery die as well. So then she protects. She doesn't know if that's another novel in that particular leather briefcase. All she knows is that he was clutching it, so it must be important, so she better protect it. Just as much as he was actually protecting it. So then she picks him up and walks through a blizzard. We see another angle of her holding him up. And then now he's in the room and on a drip, and we get her saying, I'm your number one fan, nothing to worry about. You're going to be just fine, right? And so then we know that she is knowledgeable in how to help someone, right? This is her saying, I'm your number one fan, nothing to worry about. You're going to be just fine. Okay, so he's trying to speak through his pain. She talks about him being talks about herself being a nurse, and then how long, and it's been roughly 2 days. So she tells him to kind of calm down, right? And of course, she's talking about how, well, he talks about it's a miracle that you found me, and she said it's not a miracle at all. She was basically, kind of stalking him. She would sit down sometimes. She would drive her car near his cabin and just, kind of sit there and watch the light on and wonder what was going on with him. So then she gives him 2 pills. Don't forget, she is a nurse, and you have to wonder, why does she have pills at her house, right? But she gives him 2 pills with water, fluids, of course, and she tells him what the pills are. They are nodule, and it's for his pain. So Annie giving him pills for his pain, these are pills that should solve this or resolve physical pain. But she doesn't know, while he's lying in his bed, that he's really actually in emotional pain. And that's not really going to become clear, right? Because the physical is taking over the emotions, and the emotional pain has really been resolved in him writing a new book, right? Whatever misery that he felt in writing the misery business, the series, he has resolved that pain. But then that pain is going to come back again when she forces him to burn his book. So these pills that she gives, their purpose is going to shift in the narrative multiple times. Okay, she gives him water. Then we get this view of the whole room, which I think is a very interesting room. It's interesting how she uses this room, but I think this is the only room on the floor except for her room. So she administers, again, this gives us some understanding about her knowledge, what she is able to do, what she knows to do. She knows how to be a nurse to a patient, and he is actually a patient. Again, she is using her base knowledge to help him. And then there are other aspects of her being a nurse. All right, like, subscribe, and visit. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell for more discussions. You can visit my YouTube channel for further film analysis. It's Favorites Film Analysis as the title of the channel. You can always send me an email and ask me a question, reginayfavorites@yahoo.com. My Overcoming Setback, 5 Keys for Entering and Exiting Correction book will become available around October 2021. I'm still doing some editing. The book does not focus on film analyses, but I use the content that I created for the book to support my my perceptions of setback used as a theme in select films. So when the book becomes available, I will send out a notification video, audio. Thank you very much for visiting the channel.